What's up, guys? My name is Khan and we're back today in Scrap Mechanic, and we're actually back with a really simple concept. When Komodo and I were looking at those battlebots, we had a few battlebots that we spawned that had wheels in a very interesting position, and if we take this as sort of our standard wheel, the guys there who built them had actually taken their wheels and they had mounted them sort of like this. So only a very small portion of the wheel is touching the ground, and it's at actually, you can see, a 5-degree angle to the ground, and then they would accelerate this wheel and they would drive it with motors. This is basically how they had their wheels set up, and only that tiny little portion of the wheel would be in contact with the ground. We only tried this on concrete, and after we did that video, I thought to myself, I said, you know, I really want to look at this concept and see what it does, and if it does anything different. And so I made a few vehicles here, and we're going to start with really the most basic one, and that would be this one. I made this one thruster powered, so it's not motor powered, and you know, we can see here if we turn left, we've got an AD converter in the back that activates left, and turn right, and then forward, you know, is W, and then we press the 1 button to go in reverse. But if we hit that 2 switch, we'll actually, you know, rotate all the wheels down to hit that 5-degree off the ground. So first, you know, if you drive it like a normal car, it drives, you know, pretty standard. I mean, you know, it is a jetpack powered car, so obviously it can do some quick turns and stuff like that, but it gets relatively decent traction. You know, we can do some spins, no big deal, nothing too crazy. But as soon as we take the wheels and we turn them down, the entire car, it starts to almost like float. Like, it's still getting traction, and you can still turn here, but you can see it wants to, don't want to go too close to those ones, but it wants to drift. You can see it doesn't want to drive straight, and it really gives you this feeling more so like a hovercraft than an actual hovercraft, if that makes sense. I mean, when you build a hovercraft in Scrap Mechanic, you use thrusters and sensors, and you have it sort of read the ground and balance itself off the ground position. So when you're going up a hill, the whole hovercraft tilts and adjusts for the hill. But when you use this sort of weird wheel method, it actually feels a lot more like a surface skimmer than a hovercraft does. I mean, you're actually riding on the surface. You can see each individual piece of suspension there reacting to the contours of the surface, but you still get that sort of floaty feeling that you get in a hovercraft, and they're virtually untippable. I mean, this thing, it's got such a wide wheelbase, it's really difficult for it to get flipped over, even with a high thruster power. And the only thing that really wants to tip us is the fact that the thrusters are more powerful than the vehicle. But you can see here, even trying to get up this half pipe, it's very difficult because it constantly wants to slide, even with a high power of thrust. And then we can, you know, just do some spins all the way down, and it's really quite awesome just riding on these things. I had a lot of fun. I was actually driving around last night after I had built these a couple days ago, but I was driving around last night with one of my mods, just showing him this, and it's such a simple idea. You can see it's really simple. All the wheels are just set 5 degrees and 95 degrees, all 6 wheels, and basically that just means that the entire vehicle, when you switch it, they go to be a 5-degree off the ground. You can see just the outside edge of the wheel is contacting the ground, and it really makes for a very unique experience. So I am going to upload this particular vehicle here to the workshop, and I encourage you guys to go check it out. But then as well, you know, try making your own vehicles. It's very easy to convert a pre-existing vehicle to it, except steering is a little bit difficult because you can't just rotate one of these tires out to turn when it's flat, because technically speaking, when it's flat, it acts more like just like a pad rather than an actual like grip surface. You don't really get the same kind of grip. So I don't know what to call them. I'm really excited that this idea came up in those BattleBot videos, and I'm definitely going to try and make some bigger vehicles, some bigger versions of this. But it works so well, it's unbelievable. But I am going to upload this particular one to the workshop. I encourage you guys to check it out if you're interested, and you'll see the difference right away. If you drive, you could just drive no problem, and then as soon as you rotate it down, it really just makes all the difference. I, of course, decided to make a few other ones as well, and go a little bit more complicated. So I made one that had the exact same setup with the 5-degree wheels, except it used double wishbone suspension on each individual wheel. And this gives it a much smoother ride, actually, because the double wishbone, you know, it creates a little bit of a suspension glitch, but it also kind of, it absorbs the ground a little bit more independently, I find. because of the mechanical advantage that the arm has. So the arm is not directly hooked into the suspension. It's got a little bit of a mechanical advantage, but you can see there that suspension glitch effect that we get, really keeping us from falling down when we hit something. But just very, very smooth. And this one, same deal. It uses some thrusters to turn, and it uses some thrusters to go forward. But very, very floaty vehicles. I really like how they feel when you're driving them. This method isn't exclusively thruster capable, so I wanted to prove that as well. So I took this same double wishbone version, and I strapped some electric motors to it, and I did the triple stacked bearing electric method. So this one, technically speaking, has no thrusters at all, and it can convert between the two positions, you can see there, but it drives like a tank. And so it's got very, very low double wishbone suspension again, and we can turn to the left and we can turn to the right. Now this one's controls get reversed when you go into the vertical wheel position, just because it's changing the edge. You can see there we're on the outside edge of the wheel, now we're on the inside edge of the wheel. This one, you know, gets the best turning radius for sure with electric motors driving the wheels, and it really, really skims the surface. This one just, but it's slow. The thruster powered ones are definitely faster, and these motors are cranked right up too. It's just for some reason I think the slipping effect and the sort of sliding effect, it counteracts the speed of the motors. But you can see, even if we try and drive up this, we don't get a lot of grip, and I'm not intentionally going back and forth here. That's just the sliding effect of these wheels. We might make it up the half pipe, I don't know. But just really cool vehicles. They feel very, very much like an air hockey puck on an air hockey table. So you can see, like, even then, I'm going full forward. I'm not turning left or right, but it's naturally sliding a bit. It doesn't have the traction to get up there, but it does give you this floaty feeling, and then we could just do this, you know, and go into some crazy maneuvers. But I really love this concept. It's such a cool idea, really. And then yeah, we can go into tank mode. And you can see, like, you know, there's no issue with power. In tank mode, we can go right up there, no problem, right? But as soon as we switch into puck mode, or air hockey puck mode, we'll call it, the skimmer mode, and yeah, it loses all power. And like I said, I didn't come up with this concept. You know, one of the creations in the BattleBots had this kind of concept on it, but I really, really love how it drives, and it very nicely absorbs all the terrain. I mean, you can see as we're driving here, you know, this tank one, very, very slow but very stable, and just absorbing the terrain. You don't really notice any bumps. I mean, obviously it's very difficult to drive in the direction you want to go because the hills kind of push you. The hills, there we go. Come on, hill. Like I said, it has a very, very floaty effect. It's very hard to describe what it's like to drive these things. I mean, you can tell, obviously, I'm not driving straight at all, but and it definitely, oh, there we go, perfect. It definitely likes to drift and slide around, but I encourage you, try it out. It's very, very simple to set up, and you can do it with any sort of crazy suspension type. You basically are just replacing your wheels with sort of pads almost, but it does give you a very neat driving experience. Not very good at hill climbing though. As you can see, we can barely even make it up this. Doesn't really make a difference if the wheels are powered or not. It still has that same floaty effect, and I think it's because you lose a lot of the friction. I think like, I'm not sure really, because I don't really know how the game is programmed, but I have a feeling that the edge of the wheel has less friction than if the wheel was in full contact with the ground. Like, I think the game looks at how much of the wheel is in contact with the ground and determines how much friction to apply based on that. And so I think what we're doing here essentially is eliminating almost all the friction, but not all of it. And then of course you can see we're just floating here. If you guys have any cool creations that use a method like similar to this, or use like the slanted wheel thing, let me know in the comments down below, or, you know, post a link there, or post a link in my Discord, and you know, let me know what you guys have done with this. I just figured this out the other day, and when I saw it, I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. It's just super cool, the effect that this has, and how it really feels like it feels more like a hovercraft than a hovercraft. Like I said, I mean, it's so cool. And then you can switch to wheels. Oh boy. And then, yeah, no, perfect. It really, really is a cool driving experience. So I encourage you guys, go check this out on the workshop, and make sure you hit that like button down below while you're at it, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And you know, build your own kind of stuff with this cool wheel method. I mean, it's so neat. I love hovercraft in this game, and I love hovercraft with sensors, but I think I'm gonna actually try and make some hovercraft that just have a lot of these wheels underneath them, so it gives it sort of like a floating skirt effect type thing. Make sure you guys check it out and let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see y'all next time.